Welcome, listeners. This is Ivan Franklin Rose, and this is the one about recognizing and managing stress even if you feel stressed for no reason. In an article in striveworks.com, the clinical writer for this is Laura Harris, LCMHC, editorial writer Hannah DeWitt, and clinical reviewer Teresa Welch, LPC, published on May 12th of 23. They wrote, whether it's because of work, school, big changes, or other life issues, stress can be hard to shake, especially if you don't really know it's there. Stress is pervasive and can build slowly from a small kernel to a huge weight on your shoulders. If you don't regularly employ stress management techniques, you may not have learned to recognize signs of stress in your mind and body. There are many ways stress can take a toll on your body. It can cause anything from mental disquiet to physical aches and pains. By learning to recognize how stress affects you, you can react to warning signs and work to effectively decrease your stress rather than letting it build and continue to cause harm. So what are 5 warning signs of stress? Stress is the body's response to pressure, usually when a person's demands outweigh their resources. Because of this, stress can be subtle at first, building in pressure over time. 5 of the most common initial signs of stress are feeling overwhelmed, fear and worry, impatience, restlessness or irritability, feeling tightly wound, muscle tension or pain, social withdrawal is the last one. But what does extreme stress feel like? As previously stated, people can experience stress very differently. However, it usually continues to increase in pressure over time, and once it reaches extreme levels, such as with chronic stress or acute stress disorder, it can have very detrimental effects on one's physical and mental health. You might have trouble remembering everyday things, experience muscle spasms or joint pain due to tensing your muscles, or even start getting headaches or have trouble sleeping. Chronic stress can also cause you to feel irritable and easily overwhelmed, keeping you on edge for far longer than your mind is meant to be. Stress is essentially meant to alert the body of impending danger or instability. This can be applied to massive projects or assignments that feel like too much, but at its root, it's meant to protect us in life and or death situations, which is why it activates our fight or flight reflexes. When someone experiences chronic or extreme stress, it hurts the body and mind because it requires fight or flight to be active for an unsustainable amount of time. What are the 4 signs of stress overload? Chronic stress look much like regular stress symptoms, but they can often be more intense and even more debilitating. If you feel overloaded by stress, such as with chronic stress, your symptoms may also tend towards anxiousness since you're likely worried about what's happening and the demands you feel are too high to meet. That being said, 4 signs of chronic stress are 1. Overly heightened emotions such as overwhelm, worry, or frustration. Next, anxiety and or depression. 3rd, headaches. And lastly, insomnia. Now, can stress cause weird symptoms? Yes. Since stress can affect nearly every system in the body, it can tend to cause symptoms that seem strange or don't make immediate sense, especially if you don't know that stress is the source. It can cause certain feelings or physical pains to crop up seemingly out of nowhere, which is why knowing which ones constantly come up for you can help you identify your stress early on. Some of the strange, subtle, or confusing symptoms people frequently experience due to stress are panic attacks, nightmares, excessive doubt, racing thoughts, impulsive buying, experiencing minor accidents due to confusion or disorganization, forgetful, avoids making decisions, perceived overreactions, such as acting with excessive defensiveness, hostility, or frustration. Unexplained health concerns like jaw pain, stomach issues, headaches, and muscle pain. And lastly, crying spells. Stress can cause all these symptoms and more. Through effective stress management, though, anyone can lessen the toll that continuous stress can take. What does stress do to your body? Let's look at physical symptoms of stress. Stress affects nearly every system in our body, so it can have serious adverse effects both in the short and long term. Physical symptoms of stress can appear in each of these systems. First, the central nervous and endocrine system. Stress is heavily present in this system, since it is the one that oversees the fight or flight response. Though stress can be managed, the best way to relieve its effects here is to remove the threat or source of stress. Next is the respiratory and cardiovascular systems. Here, stress can cause increased heart rate and blood pressure, as well as an increased risk of heart attacks or stroke. And lastly, digestive system. These symptoms will likely be the ones most immediately felt in the body, such as heartburn or acid reflux, diarrhea, constipation, nausea, vomiting, or stomach pain. Stress can also increase the risk of developing an ulcer. The lasting physical effects of stress is a large part of why stress management is so important. It not only protects your mental well-being, but your body's well-being and health as well. Can stress symptoms look different in men and women? Yes, specifically in a social sense. Women, generally speaking, are more likely to find value in their ability to form relationships and are more likely to reach out to others to process feelings when experiencing stress, so their symptoms may often stay away from social outbursts and may be more internally focused. For example, women are more likely than men to experience sleep disruption and changes in their eating habits. Women that have periods may also notice pain as well as irregularities in frequency and increased intensity. However, men, generally speaking, are more likely to value their performance and are more likely to participate in physical activities when experiencing stress, and are more likely than women to repress their feelings. Therefore, men may have a more social response to stress, perhaps taking it out by leaving, withdrawing, or acting irritable or aggressive. Men who experience stress may also experience drops in testosterone level. Now, can too much stress, let's say, make you sick? Let's put it that way. Too much stress make you sick? Yes, it can, and keep you sick. Just like many of the symptoms in the body, stress can have detrimental effects on the immune system, causing it to struggle with keeping sickness away as well as recovering from sickness as quickly as it usually does. Chronic stress can also cause stomach pain and discomfort as well as nausea, making you feel sick. How do you know if stress is killing you? Well, stress can be hard on the mind and body, but it should never get to the point of causing lethal harm. If your life feels severely inhibited by and negatively affected by your stress levels, it's best to contact your primary care provider and to consider seeing a mental health professional to help you process and create a plan to relieve your stress. What is the best medicine for stress? Let's look at healthy ways to treat stress. There are a number of ways to relieve and reduce stress. Some of the common ways include regular physical activities, practicing relaxation techniques, participating in hobbies, interacting with positive social influences such as friends or loved ones, playing with pets, that's a great one, and consuming calming teas or supplements. Now, we talked about how certain supplements can affect the brain with stress and anxiety and depression in episode 11, so refer to that if you will. Ultimately, though, the only true way to get rid of your stress is to remove the stressor. Whether that means that what you're facing is over or you found a way to make what's on your plate more manageable, the high demands you feel required to meet must, at some point, be decreased to get rid of stress completely. Feeling certain amounts of stress now and again can be good, even helpful. However, when the demands of your stress become too much and feel like they are not sustainable, it's time to rethink the situation and find ways to cope in order to take care of yourself. But what if you feel stressed for no reason? Well, that is an article that actually was covered by Christine Ridley. She's the clinical writer She's a licensed clinical social worker who specializes in adolescent and adult anxiety, depression, mood and thought disorders, addictive behaviors, and codependency issues. She writes on April 28th of 23. The editorial writer was Hannah DeWitt, and the clinical reviewer was Laura Harris, LCMHC. All these articles I'm reading from, this is from thriveworks.com, but all the different sources that I give you are all backed with the credentials of the writers and the reviewers. So she writes, why am I stressed for no reason? What's behind irrational stress and ways to relieve it? Stress is a very prevalent part of life for many people and can be a source of discomfort and strain, especially when you don't know how to deal with it. Unless you have actively tried to establish routines and strategies for relieving stress, it's likely that you have some lingering stress in your body, or at least some unhelpful coping mechanisms present that might be giving you short-term stress relief but heightening your stress levels over time. Thankfully, there are many effective ways to relieve stress, even stress that may not have a clear reason for presenting itself. By sitting with your stress and exploring what the source might be, you can then effectively address the issue and release unhealthy stress. Why do you feel stressed and anxious for no reason? Though anxiety and stress can often feel like they come out of nowhere, each of our feelings always has a reason for occurring. When the reasons for our feelings aren't obvious, it can lead to confusion about what is really causing the disruption. Sometimes the reasons can be past events that are still affecting us, or issues in the present that we've been ignoring or hadn't viewed as problems that needed to be dealt with. Anxiety or stress occur when there is an uncomfortable or emotionally fueled experience happening. Usually, we have a small internal disturbance which occur at disturbances, plural, which occur at an emotional level throughout the day. Many can come and go without causing more than a small disruption, but some of these small internal disturbances can add up, creating an increased state of anxiety or mental distress over time. So what does it mean when you stress for no reason? Well, while it may seem that there is no root cause to your stress, the reason can become clear once you explore underneath the surface level emotions that you feel day to day. Self-reflection, such as journaling or talking with a trusted friend who knows you well, or even a mental health professional, can help you identify root causes of stress as well as help you manage it. If you believe you are stressed for no reason, it may be because you have been ignoring, either consciously or subconsciously, your stress. There is likely something in your life, either happening presently or in the recent past, that feels like a greater demand than you feel prepared to handle. Though sometimes ignoring your stress feels like you aren't allowed, or not allowing it to affect you, rather, this actually traps the stress in your body rather than letting it go. Because of this, the stress might quietly continue to build within you, meaning that when eventually it comes out down the line, it may feel like it's cropping up for no immediate reason. Is it normal to be stressed over nothing? It's completely normal to feel varying degrees or intensities of stress. However, it is not sustainable to live with high amounts of stress for long periods of time. With the rise of valuing productivity and work over personal well-being, many people don't know how to check in with how they're feeling or know how to release stress from their body. However, if it feels like you are stressed over nothing, it is likely that there's an underlying issue that is triggering it. This is why it's important to check in with yourself. Stress can start piling up more quickly than we often realize. If unhealthy amounts of stress are allowed to linger in the body, it can lead to issues with physical health as well as mental health, and even lead to chronic stress. The first step to managing your stress is paying attention to your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. If you feel stressed, irritated, or overwhelmed, instead of trying to push on, take a moment to consider the cause of these emotions and what triggers them. What does unhealthy stress look like? Unhealthy stress can be identified with certain negative or unhealthy coping practices when they start becoming more noticeable. A response to stress is considered unhealthy when it's prevalent for long periods of time, or it causes a person to develop maladaptive ways to cope or poor coping skills in an effort to manage the stress and keep functioning. Examples of these coping skills include negative self-talk, nervous habits like picking at skin or biting fingernails, avoid family and friends, becoming irritable, taking out emotions through aggression or anger, sluggishness, loss of motivation or energy, and excessive use of substances. That's an obvious one. Each of these can bring on temporary relief in the short term. However, the quick feeling of relief is often followed by heightened stress levels for a longer term. Unhealthy stress may be triggered by persistent stress, which has been ignored, denied, or pushed down internally, whether on purpose or subconsciously, for the purpose of functioning. It is always best to honor your current stress with proper attention and with healthy coping skills. You can refer to the episode we just did last week on coping skills, but just a few of them here are talking it out with a trusted friend, problem solving, engaging in positive self-care activities, taking time to rest, going for a walk or working out, and more. What are the 5 emotional signs of stress? 5 of the most common emotional signs of stress include the following: mood shifts, such as heightening irritability, quickness to anger or frequently feeling annoyed, elevated amounts of anxiety or fear related to the stressor, poor coping behaviors such as emotional eating or lethargy as a response to stress, sleep disturbances, sleeping too much or loss of sleep, and finally, neglecting self-care and isolating from friends, family, or support system. Each of these are common signs that someone might be stressed or under pressure. That said, there are many signs of stress which may vary from person to person. Stress affects each person differently and will cause different reactions depending on someone's previous experiences, emotional state, and personality. Regardless, it can be helpful to talk about what is causing the stress, whether that starts with you asking someone else about their stress levels or opening up to someone close to you about yours. What does extreme stress feel like? Chronic stress symptoms. Extreme stress may feel like intense anxiety or panic and can involve having an intense physiological reaction, including but not limited to the following symptoms: chest tightness, feelings of hopelessness or sadness, jitteriness, increased irritability or quickness to anger, poor concentration, accelerated heart rate, high blood pressure, restlessness, decreased performance productivity, and isolation from friends and family. If you have a combination of these symptoms, chronic stress could be a likely cause. But what are the effects of stress on the body, you might ask? Well, stress that is left unchecked can have many adverse effects on the body and lead to many health problems, such as high blood pressure, heart disease, gastrointestinal problems, obesity, diabetes, and more. Implementing good stress management, whether you are facing large amounts of stress currently or not, is key to maintaining a healthy relationship to stress and giving yourself balance in your work and in your daily life. Lastly, I want to talk about how you can stop stressing over nothing. How do you de-stress? A wide variety of things can help de-stress. Some of the easiest and most common practices include moving your body, going for a walk, try yoga, take exercise class, hit the gym, even dancing. Dancing is a wonderful release. Meditation. Try some guided meditation. There are many guided meditations available online. You can also try simply sitting with your thoughts, letting them come naturally as they come up, as they will, and then letting them go. Sleep. Get enough sleep and keep your sleep schedule to a predictable routine. Nutrition. Eat regular meals and ensure you are getting enough nutrients. And finally, laugh more. Find ways to make yourself laugh on purpose, whether that's through hanging out with friends, watching funny videos, or listening to a funny or happy song. Studies have shown that belly laughs trigger endorphins, which help to decrease body's stress response. So important. Try it. Try laughing. See how that works for you. You'll be surprised. Practice noticing your feelings and assessing stress levels. Once you are able to recognize when you are stressed, then you can work towards relieving your stress in a healthy way and avoiding unhealthy coping skills. Find a practice that works for you, and make sure to create a habit of reaching for it when you feel stressed. Stress relief can take a huge burden off your shoulders that you may not have realized was there, and can help you live a happier, more satisfied life. And that's the goal, everyone. Trying to live a happy, satisfying life. To that end, try to wake up each morning with a smile. Find something to smile about. Your children, your loved ones. Try to find something, a flower blooming, a picture of something that makes you smile. I suggest you get a piece of art that you hang on your bedroom wall or downstairs when you come down, if you're near the door when you leave. A picture that makes you smile and makes you happy, that you can at least leave the house with a happy attitude, a positive attitude. Feel that something good is going to happen that day. Till next time, listeners, I wish you all a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Goodbye.